Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
You know, what's funny about this week is that either side, and it's unfortunate, it's how polarized this nation has become. But both sides think that if the opponent wins, it's the end of the world. It is the end of the world. What do we taught you over the years about all of the people that claim that the world is going to end? And there's been people on the left and there's been people on the right. I remember Glenn Beck during the financial crisis on Fox News. Oh, my Lord, the people, the guests that he would bring on his program, and, oh, it's going to be terrible, it's going to be awful, and just all of these things. What have we told you time and time again? Never bet on the end of the world. It is probably the dumbest bet you can have because it's only going to happen once. Welcome, everybody. I don't lie here on the program. I don't sugarcoat things. Oftentimes I'll get email messages from listeners from around the country, and boy, you made me depressed today. I don't mean to depress anyone, but I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. The information that we bring to you oftentimes can be quite sobering. We will not lie to you about reality. We will not lie to you about the terrain. We, as a Navy SEAL would say, we embrace the suck. When things are not going our way, we deal with it. We help our clients deal with it. It's the only way. I can try to ignore things, but like many financial advisors and brokers do, and paint you all of these insane pictures out there that don't make any sense. We'd rather not do that. We like to be grounded in reality. Now, the things we're going to talk about today are things that we've been talking about for a long period of time. I don't like them. I'm being honest. I don't like what I see happening to our country. I haven't liked it for a very long period of time. And it's not just our country, it's all around the globe. I have been the guy on the front lines going after big business, the big banks, Wall Street, politicians, and the media for decades now. For decades. And many of the things that we've talked about here on the program, or the things I've written about, people have kind of poo-pooed. Yeah, whatever. Now you see it. You see it. I don't like the fact that corporations have here that are based in the United States, and many of the people that run these corporations could give a damn about the United States. They don't care. They're citizens of the world, you know. And again, you think about you want to go back to another era where we had people do extraordinarily well. You want to go back to the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Vanderbilts. They were Americans. They were Americans. Hey, if you want to even look at it in terms of politics, you can look at the Kennedys or even the Bush family. As much as, again, I take issue with their politics on both sides, they gave back to their country. Today, we've got a corporate elite, and this is most certainly the case on both coasts, that they're not committed to this country. It's self-serving nonsense. They'll say anything and they'll do anything to save their own hides. They won't stick their neck out. Remember last year when they were talking about this new shareholder capitalism and all this other BS? I didn't believe any of the stuff that they were saying, but that's exactly what it was. We here on the program have covered over the years the things that they have done doing business with rogue regimes and drug dealers, and they knew exactly what they were doing. Again, white-collar crime pays. And you take a look at all of these people and you take a look at what's going on. And I'm going to throw in some politics over the past couple of weeks. Getting, again, quite a few emails. People, Chris, you're not talking about the Hunter Biden scandal. You're not talking about it on your podcast and your radio show enough. Why? Why would I talk about that scandal? Why? What, do you think it's going to change anyone's mind? The old saying, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's there to hear it, does it make a sound? Tucker Carlson is covering this. Other people are covering it. It's not going to change anyone's mind. What do you think, people? What do you think happens in Washington, D.C.? Joe Biden has been in Washington, D.C. for 47 years, something like that. Senator for something like that, close to that. How do you get that wealthy? How? How is it possible? Think about that for a second. They're all crooks. The longer they stay there, the worse it is. I had a conversation with my father this past week. I was explaining this to him. And I have sub-referenced this movie here on the program. It's a great film. It was American Hustle. And how it was the old ab scam that they, I think it was, it was the FBI or somebody ran to catch politicians taking suitcases full of cash. Well, politicians got real smart. They legalized the scam. Do you understand that you get to a certain level in D.C., you're omnipotent. You don't get in any trouble no matter what you do. Oh, fine. Depending on whether you're left or right, you might be eviscerated for a period of time on cable news. But you'll land on your feet. Peter Strzok is a professor right now at Georgetown. Take a look around the country and see all of the positions around the country that are ex-Washington people that are all of a sudden professors or people that used to work inside the media. John Meacham's a professor at Harvard now. Professor. Doesn't have a doctorate. Become a chancellor. You get a job at some think tank. You get a job on Wall Street with zero experience. Jeb Bush. I will point at both sides. Jeb Bush is termed out as governor of Florida. He's working at Barclays. Doing what? I don't know. Shaking hands and making a ton of money. Give a speech. Do you think anybody wants to sit for a Hillary Clinton speech for 20 minutes? Anyone at all? You know how much she gets paid for those things? $250,000 to $500,000 for 20 minutes. Why? It's payback. Books. Get book deals. Oh, you think the book companies make that money back on those deals? Do you? No. Listen, I love this country, and again, it's one of the reasons why I do this program. I love this place. There's a great line from the movie A Bronx Tale. Lorenzo Anello was the character, was played by Robert De Niro, and he said the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. We have all the ability in the entire world. And we're heading down a path where we're wasting it right now. And again, I'm the same way. I can't stand it. When I coach kids, it's personal to me. It's personal. I know I can identify the kids that have great ability and try to get it through their thick skulls that if they put the work in, you can't get by on talent alone. You have to work at it. You can't get by on it. And each and every one of us has some sort of talent, ability that we have to develop. And I believe this is my belief system, that God has given each and every one of us something. I'll never forget. I gave a speech in 8th grade for my class. It's a graduation from 8th grade. We're going on to high school. And I was selected by the student body to give the speech. And I went up there, and I'm working on this speech. And again, I made fun of teachers. I cracked jokes. I did kind of my same shtick that I have now. It's basically who I am. It's how I've always written my papers and my columns. I had some professors in school that couldn't stand the way I wrote, but I haven't changed. I had a teacher come up to me after the speech and was like, you have to do something with that. With what? With what you were able to do up there. And I didn't really, thought about it a little bit then, but now I truly remember it. People, I went back and I was looking back in 2015, 16, what I was thinking about then leading up to an election. I mean, it's one thing to go on air and complain about all sorts of things that are happening in the country. It's another thing to come up and try to solve problems. And what's one of the things that I think differentiates us here on this program than the other ones out there? We solve problems. And obviously my clients know this, especially the ones who have been around going back 3 decades. Whatever's thrown in front of us, we deal with it. Now, back in 2016, coming off of 8 years of Obama, I laid out some things. I laid out some things that we need to do as a nation. And I want to revisit that when we get back. We're going to take a quick break right now, but I want to remind everybody out there, no matter what happens, no matter who wins, we're here. We'll deal. Your taxes are going to go through the roof. Guess what? We've got accountants. We have strategies. We have things that we can do to help you. But you have to get to our website, sign up for our personal CFO program. We have all the tools. This is not cookie cutter stuff. Okay, we're not a mutual fund company. We're not a hedge fund. We are your family office. You understand? We help you with everything. Legal, tax, and of course, your portfolio. Our job is to help you to prepare for anything. So get to our website at watchdogonwallstreet.com, personal CFO program. Sign up for it there. We'll be back.
You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
But before I get into some things that I believe we're going to need to do as a nation, and again, these are things that I laid out in 2016, and many of them I have to give it to Donald Trump. He is trying to tackle. He's been working on it, And I'm glad to see that. I want everybody to understand where all of this comes from, this stuff on the far left. And you need to understand their belief system. Most people don't. Most people do not have a clue on where this all comes from. The progressive movement, some are saying, okay, Kamala Harris, the most progressive senator out there, and she is going to end up becoming president. And guess what? It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. But the progressive movement, it just didn't pop up over the past few years by any stretch. I mean, all this stuff comes from the end of the 19th century and into the 20th century. It's when it really became in vogue. And you had a lot of the academia here in the United States and professors studying in Germany and becoming little Marxists back then. We had a president of the United States, Woodrow Wilson, that would fit in just fine. Woodrow Wilson would be a part of the squad with AOC. Back at that point in time, he and his ilk, just so you know, they wanted to basically completely flip the country. They wanted to move completely away from the founders and the founders' belief in the individual. They were all about the collective. Woodrow Wilson actually talked about the 4th of July every year. We shouldn't be celebrating the founding of this country. We should be almost celebrating the refounding of the country and talking about what we need to do as a society to make people feel, and I'm not kidding, safe. How often do we hear that word batted around today? Oh, stay safe. He actually proposed a living space, a building, a modern-day utopia, where it was set up like a beehive, where human beings would live in this beehive, all harmonious. This is not new, what we're dealing with today. You understand that, right? That's just what these people believe. It's not new. It's not new. People like myself and yourself and many others have been fighting against this for a long time. A long time. Again, you want to look to the past, because I think it's important to study history. Look at ancient Rome. Rome, like the United States, was conceived as a stand against a monarchy. Obviously, significant differences. The United States talking about inalienable rights that we all have before government. Both nations were suspicious of concentrated power and authority. The United States, like Rome, were republics at first. Checks and balances, separation of powers, protection of the individual. This is a recipe for success. The greatest advances in individual liberty led to prosperity without precedent in world history. The history of classical Rome lasted 1,000 years. The first half was a republic. The second one was an imperial autocracy. Now, again, one would make the argument that we are heading towards that autocracy now with the type of power that we have concentrated in Washington, D.C., a huge bureaucracy. Lawrence Reed from the Foundation of Economic Education had a succinct analysis of what happened to Rome, and he called it the 3 most stubborn lessons of history. Number 1, no people who lost their character kept their liberties. Power that is shackled and dispersed is preferable to power that is unrestrained and centralized. The here and now is rarely as important as tomorrow. All of these things are the case. All of them. Now, Rome transformed from republic to an empire through the process of erosion. The welfare state that was instituted little by individuals craving power ate away at the virtue of the Roman people. Slowly but surely, a self-reliant people abandoned responsibility, discipline, and property rights. They turned to government to solve their problems. What's in it for me? What am I entitled to? WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Bringing America financial freedom one listener at a time. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
People, what we're witnessing and what we're watching, okay, is a power grab. A power grab. Now you're seeing lockdowns being reinstituted in places, not only here in the country, but most certainly over in Europe. They don't know what the hell to do. And let's be honest here, because the mainstream media wasn't honest. The reason why Europe got so overwhelmed at the start of this COVID outbreak is, guess what? It's socialized medicine. Ask anybody who lives in any of those countries how long you have to wait to see a doctor when there isn't a pandemic, or if you want to get something done. Weeks, months, sometimes years. So no, they weren't capable in handling it. We did really pretty well. We had excess capacity. But you're watching right now, and you're seeing leadership here in the United States. What is Joe Biden's slogan? Build back better. You know that most of these European nations over there are using the same thing? Building back better. More power concentrated into the elites. Don't take care of yourself. Don't be responsible on your own. Look to us. We'll tell you what to do. This great reset that they keep talking about. What does that mean? We're going to concentrate more power in Washington, D.C. and Brussels and the United Nations. That's the reset you're talking about? All in the name of stay safe. We want to make sure that you're safe. No. Listen, my list from 2016. First and foremost, number one on our list was to simplify the tax code. Now, with the past 4 years under Donald Trump, we got tax cuts. And I thought they were okay. Like I said, I gave them a grade of, okay, C+ to B-. What I would have liked to have seen is, again, I'd like to have seen a tax code that's on a page or two, not 70,000 plus pages. Not to mention the fact, and we'll get into this a little bit later on in the program, is how we're taxed. Yeah, Biden, your people making over 400,000. Yeah, you think that's going to affect Elon Musk or J.P. Morgan or Jamie Dimon, who runs J.P. Morgan, with their stock grants? No, that's not income. That's just stock grants. Another thing that I wanted to get, and we're nowhere near that now. We are hell and high water away from a balanced budget amendment. See, Ted Cruz came out this past week saying, yeah, Republicans, we got to focus on fiscal responsibility. Where you been, man? Where you been? The only time Republicans focus on fiscal responsibility is when they're out of power. That's it. Reform the regulatory process. And this is something that I have to give Donald Trump credit for. He has done a phenomenal job with. Phenomenal job in cutting back regulations. But again, I'm not satisfied. The executive branch of government needs to be chopped down to size. No more judge, jury, and executioner from the various acronym agencies in the executive branch. Force Congress to do their job. They're supposed to legislate. I don't want these acronym agencies writing the rules and laws of this nation. It's not supposed to work that way. And one of the big ones, and again, I think that this is the answer to many of the problems that we have today. I don't know how we get this in, but I was mentioning Rome. When Rome was originally founded, I mean, they had two people that were like the head consuls that ran the place. Yeah, they were a check on each other. Two. You know how long their term was? A year. A year. We need to make sure that these people are termed out of Washington. Get the hell out and go get yourself a real job. I'm asked all the time, Chris, why don't you run for office? Listen, I'm not a politician. I'm not. I admit I'd find it difficult sometimes with some of the things that these politicians say for me not going up to them and say it to my face. I'm old school. I say, can we go out back and do a duel? I go Aaron Burr, Alexander Hamilton on some of these people. I really would. I can't stand that nonsense. But one of the reasons is again, I've got a family, I've got a job. If Washington was set up where, hey, you know what? I could go serve my country as a representative for a few years and then go home, fine. But the reality is you're new, you get in there, they won't even let you turn a light switch on until you've raised X amount of dollars. You don't start getting any real power unless you're entrenched there. And this is where power starts to corrupt. I'll get into that, too. I gotta look at the clock. I got to take another quick break. Again, I want to remind everybody, get to our website. We will deal with all of this. That's what we do. Sign up. We've got all sorts of free goodies and giveaways. Personal CFO program, our newsletter, our podcast, watchdogonwallstreet.com, or give us a call, 800-471-5984.
Taking Wall Street's liars, crooks, and cheats out behind the woodshed. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Any new listeners out there? Financial programs on. I wonder why he's not talking about the volatility in the markets this past week. And did you see the sell-off? Oh, my God, the markets. What's this all mean? Does it look like I'm frightened? No. If you want to go listen to one of those programs, there's plenty of places where you can go either listen to some local yokel schlock broker give his or her opinion on what to do next, or some television show out there where you get some idiot telling you what to do. None of this stuff bothers us, never has. Because guess what? We know how to deal with it. Oh, sell off. Oh, geez, well, what does it mean? Let's bring in our panel of experts. How about a panel of schmucks? Because more often that's who they are. A panel of idiots that lose their clients' money again and again and again. You want to get your financial plan done the right way? Or actually have your preparation done the right way. Get to our website at watchdogonwallstreet.com. I want to talk a little bit about power. I'm a fan. I am a fan. I never read the books, though. I don't know, for whatever reason. I never read the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and all that stuff. But in the first one there with the Fellowship of the Ring, the movie, and you get the voiceover and they're talking about the thing that men crave more than anything else is power and the ring. And it's kind of interesting. You see what the ring does to people over time. And you take a look at Gollum. For him to obtain the ring, he killed his best friend. You want that power. The precious. The precious. When you see these politicians that have been in D.C., you need to see Gollum. Because that's what they are. All they crave is power. Is power. That's all. And boy, they're able to wield it. You think about the money that they make and the way that they're able to justify the type of crooked things that they do in their minds. The Clintons. All the money that they made. The Clinton Foundation, supposable charitable organization. And in their mind, they didn't do anything wrong. They're twisted by the precious, the power. Look at these people. See them for what they are. I have to say, probably one of the biggest failings of the Trump administration was the fact that he hired people within the swamp. He should have hired his dry cleaner. He would have been better off hiring his dry cleaner, his driver, to fill positions. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com, WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street. This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
I don't know this version. I thought this was Neil Sedaka did a version of this. Anyway, welcome back. It is the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Class is in session. Class is in session. We're here to teach. We're here to teach. We're here to prepare you for whatever is going to happen on Tuesday. Again, I can embrace the suck. I can. I don't know what's going to happen on Tuesday, but I know that I'll be able to deal with it. And this is why, this is why our clients from all over the country, this is why they retain us. We're different. And again, I'm inviting each and every one of you to do your homework. Do your homework on us. Read my columns. Read my columns. They're archived up there on our site going back decades. See what we've accomplished. See what we've called. Sign up for our personal CFO kit, amongst many other things that we have there. And again, I'd like to remind everybody again, we help everyone. We help everyone. I like using the term personal CFO. I mentioned the phrase family office. People hear the word family office and they automatically think I don't have, $50 million. No, this is for everyone. Do you understand me? Get the help. Get to our website at watchdogonwallstreet.com. I want to get back to some of the things we were talking about to make the country better. We went over simplifying the tax code and the balanced budget amendment, the regulatory process that needs to be reformed, of course, term limits, another thing. And I wished, again, many things I will give Donald Trump credit for, and many other things I've been very critical of. Back in 2016, he put in the Republican Party platform to go after the monopolies, the big banks. Shouldn't end there. The big media companies out there. Mediopolies that we have here in this country. The concentration. It's no good. We must encourage small business. I know we had that dog and pony show in front of Congress this past week. Let me tell you what's going to come out of that. Nothing. Nothing. The big business, politicians, mainstream media, again, they help each other out. You got a guy, Tubin. Again, I mentioned here on the program, is Tubin going to become a verb? I'm telling you right now that Tubin will get himself a high-paying job somewhere. He will. He will. He's protected. He's protected. See, inside this little watchdog on Wall Street axis of evil, you get in there, you're a made man. But unlike the mafia, you don't get whacked. Nobody gets whacked. No matter what you do. Oh, yeah, you might come under fire for a period of time, but guess what? You'll show up somewhere. Another thing I wanted to mention. Again, we started heading in this direction. But every single time Donald Trump pushed to get us out of certain places around the globe, you'd see the military-industrial complex do a collective freakout. And you'd see all of these generals and admirals, oh my God, he's terrible, he's turning, he's putting the nation in all sorts of trouble. Oh my Lord, getting us out of Afghanistan. Oh! You notice that? Every time. Every time. And again, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'll tell you what I think. Yeah. Do I think that's one of the reasons that Kennedy got whacked? Yep. He didn't want any part. He's kind of learned his lesson from the people that were in charge. He didn't want any part of getting involved in Vietnam. He wanted us out of that stuff, and he understood. He had generals around him that were trying to push about how we're going to win a nuclear war with the Soviet Union. How stupid is that? But yeah. I would love to see a non-interventionist foreign policy, but that wouldn't be surprised me that Donald Trump, somebody's going to take me out here. Free trade. Only when the playing field is level. Again, Trump is trying to push for that. He has. Obviously, with everything that had taken place over the past year, kind of changes some things, does it not? We obviously have to pay attention to our supply chain. But free trade is great when the playing field is level. Immigration reform. Again, we're working in that direction. I think Donald Trump did a lot as far as immigration. Just this past week. Not just immigration, also talking about visas and protecting American jobs. H-1B visa reform this past week. Most people don't even realize that. These are white-collar jobs and preventing people from coming from outside the country to get a visa that certain businesses can pay a hell of a lot less than paying an American. Again, I've been yelling and screaming about that for years. No more subsidies. Done. At the local level, at the federal level, no business gets subsidized. It needs to end. Entitlement reform. Again, we have to head in that direction just based upon demographics. Yet again, no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to address it. Welfare reform. I've said again. Welfare is our nation's number one drug problem. We have too many people that have become addicted to this way of life. And we have to do everything and anything we can to break that cycle. And here on the program, we've offered solutions for that. And we've got to get the government out of health care. We've got to get the government out of housing, and we've got to get the government out of college education. Those are the areas where prices have gone through the roof. Why? Because government has been involved. There you go. Simple things. This is from 2016. I think that they're pretty damn applicable today. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Wow. Whew. That hour flew by. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Get there. Take advantage of everything we have there to cite, and don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
So I'm at my desk working this past week, and got my television screen to the right, and various different stations I watch, and I flipped it over to CNBC for a bit, and I don't know why I do this. Especially there's like the one program I like, which is their pre-market program there, because at least they've got Joe Kernan on, and he's a bit of a conservative guy, and he's a guy that's been there, done that on the street. But they always have these these various different know-nothings come on to discuss the markets and what to do and all that good stuff. And this guy was on talking about, well, if there's a Biden presidency, I think that, this is going to be great for the markets. The Trump going off on the Trump administration, not doing enough to stimulate the economy, and you're going to get that stimulus, and then you're going to get stimulus with green jobs and all this stuff, talking about trillions of dollars being spent like it's nothing. Like there's a tree behind the back of the White House where you pick money and you just dole it out. And I'm watching this, and I'm scratching my head. I said, well, what is the number that some of the people are putting out there, that if Biden presidency, we're talking about a $7 trillion worth of stimulus spending? Why 7? This be my thing with all of you left-wing lunatics out there. Why 7? If 7 is good, wouldn't 14 be better? How about 14 trillion? How about 20? You listen to these people. When I watch these people speak and they start talking in these numbers, I always go back to that scene from Coming to America, where Akeem's best buddy, Simi, was Arsenio Hall, and again, this is late 1980s, goes to a Western Union to send a telegram back to Zamunda to ask for more money. They're out of money. We've depleted our funds. So he's telling this lady, this is obviously New York, this New Yorker behind the Western Union about, send this to Zamunda, and he's asking for a couple $100,000. And the lady looks at me and says, do you think that will be enough? Why not go for a cool mill? Every single time I watch these people discuss all of this money, I think of that scene. $7 trillion, huh? Why not 14? Do you think that Joe Biden raising taxes on people that make more than $400,000 a year, do you think that would make a dent in that? Huh? A dent. It is like trying to empty the ocean with a thimble. That's how dumb this is. And all of the things that they're proposing, very similar to stuff that the government should not get involved with, things that the private sector needs to get involved with. You get the government out of innovation. You might be the greenest of green, and you want to do away with fossil fuels. You don't want to have natural gas. You don't want to have oil. You know what? I'll say fine. If you think that if you believe that fossil fuels are the problem, if you think that type of innovation is going to come from the government, you're mistaken. It's not. Government makes it worse. When government starts picking and choosing winners and losers, money oftentimes doesn't go to the companies that actually deserve it. Case in point, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. Joe Biden was in charge of it, was he not? I'll never forget that State of the Union. Yeah, Obama, because nobody messes with Joe. And Joe Biden in his interview on national TV the next day. What's that website number? What is that number for the website? we had how many failures? Can anybody name for me anything, one thing that came out of the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act? And they went small, if you think about it. That was less than $1 trillion. So what we're going to have happen here, people, under a Biden presidency is it's pretty much, the broken windows idea. Ever hear about it's a broken windows fallacy? It's the idea said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create all sorts of economic activity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to a parking lot in my town, and I'm going to smash everyone's car windows. And when I do that, people are going to have to go out and spend money to fix their windows. And that money will go into the mechanic shop and the glass shop. And, oh, wow, look at all this economic activity that I created. The reality is you didn't create any economic activity. You just diverted money that might have gone to a restaurant or a clothing store or a vacation or whatever it may be somewhere else. You didn't build anything. You didn't create anything. It's like digging a hole and then filling it in. I wrote about this about 10 years ago. It was a great story. I don't remember where I originally read it. It was about Milton Friedman and how he traveled to China in the 1960s. And he visited a work site in China where the government was building a new canal. And Friedman was shocked that the modern machinery that was available at that point in time, tractors, earth movers, wasn't being utilized. Wasn't being utilized to ease any of the construction that was taking place. So he asked, obviously, China, 1960s, he had to ask his government minders there why there were so few machines. And the government bureaucrat explained, you don't understand. This is a jobs program. So Friedman thought about it for a second. He said, I thought you were trying to build a canal. If it's jobs you want, then you should take away the workers' shovels and give them spoons. And again, there's nothing new. You talk about the stimulus package that they're trying to pass right now. They want the money. Pelosi wants the money to send to the states for more of those people. Think about them. Government workers who are digging with spoons. Yeah. Digging with spoons. I talked about this. The state of New York couldn't get the unemployment rolls working properly due to COVID. They're still running computers and software that dates back to the 1960s. We still have agencies in government that have to buy floppy disks. Well, why? Why is this? Well, you know what? Because we can't get rid of the workers, right? We can't become more efficient. This happens all the time. And this is how we waste our money. $7 trillion. Let me tell you something. There's going to be a lot of, I'm going to follow this. We always do. There's a lot of people who are going to make a ton of money. A ton of money in a Biden presidency. It's going to be the usual suspects. You notice right now how, Wall Street is bad. Wall Street, we need to have a blue wave and we can get all these things done. You don't think that $7 trillion is going to flow through these big banks? You don't think that they're going to make an absolute fortune off of that stimulus package? Of course they are. Oh, my God. They're going to kill it. Did you know that as people, there's a Republican for big business. What are you talking about? Conservatives are for small business. I've been railing against the U.S. Chamber of Commerce for ages. Ages. These big firms gave Joe Biden, they gave Trump anything, $75 million in contributions for this election cycle. $75 million. Last 2016, Wall Street didn't give Trump anything. They don't like Trump. No. The corporate elites don't like Trump. Why do you think the U.S. Chamber of Commerce figured it out? All the big companies that are in the U.S. Chamber, they've recognized that if you pay off the right politicians, nothing is ever going to happen to you. You stay in power. Look at Boeing. What was it, last week before? What did Goldman Sachs had to pay close to a $3 billion fine. Again, it's a parking ticket for them. Anybody get in any trouble at all? No. We're going to claw back some of the pay from Lloyd Blankfein and some of the others. Again, Blankfein's bar bill at the club. Nothing. And he will call Goldman Sachs and say, hey, I need to make that money back. Put me on as a consultant. This is the racket, people. This is who you're dealing with. Now, again, I'm talking about all of these things here. I don't. I'm not going to go, move into the woods and live like some sort of hermit. We deal with the terrain. We deal with it. And that's what we teach you to do. Hey, years ago, I'm ripping into the big investment firms, all this stuff. And people are like, well, you own stock in their company. I say, yeah, I would never have my money there. I would never let them manage a dime of mine. But, hey, own their shares in their company. Sure. It's the terrain. Get your preparation plans done the right way. Do you understand? And again, when I use the word prepare and preparation, people think I'm one of those preppers and build a bunker in your backyard, buy a Glenn Beck safe and fill it with gold. No. Planning is kind of insane. You don't plan, you prepare. Okay? You prepare for everything. And that's what we do. That's why we have our family office concept for all of our clients. We have accountants. We have lawyers. We can help you with all this stuff. Taxes are going to go through the roof? Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll figure it out. We'll find something. If you need to start, you might be making that money. You know what? If you got to start a small business and we got to find you some deductions, we'll help you do that. That's our job. Get to our website, watchdogonwallstreet.com. Become a part of our family, our personal CFO kit, all sorts of great stuff. Man, you got to be listening to my podcast as well. You get to hear me rant and rave every single day. I was going long this week. I try to keep it around a half an hour. I was looking at the clock. I'm at 40 minutes, 45 minutes. I'll try to keep it to a half an hour, short and sweet. But you got to sign up for that as well. Watchdog on wallstreet.com, our 24-hour day help hotline, 800-471-5984.
The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Yes, you are. Welcome back, everybody. The one, the only, the Watchdog on Wall Street show. 2 decades plus. Taking the liars, the crooks, the cheats out behind the woodshed and giving them a beatdown. I did mention this this past week on the program. I want to share it with all of our radio listeners as well outside the podcast. I found myself, I don't know, was it Monday or Tuesday? And I was just in a foul mood. It was late afternoon, and I was just in a rotten mood. And when I get like that, I try to figure out why. And I sat back and I was just thinking about all of the things that I was learning, all of the things that I was dealing with at that point in time, thinking about my kids and the fact they're only going to school a couple days a week, the fact that they haven't had any high school sports. And I'm speaking with people, and they're telling me, no, they're not going to have anything in the spring either. And I live in a state where upstate New York, for some reason, they're playing sports. Nobody can give you a straight answer. Got a lot of bureaucrats, people working in school districts that are just happy sitting on their fat tookuses doing absolutely nothing, collecting six-figure salaries. As one thing after another after another. And I broke it down to this. Why was I really angry? And I thought about it. And you know what popped into my mind? Popped into my mind was a trip that I made. And again, I had mental picture in my mind. A trip that I made to Florida. First time I went to Florida. First time I was on an airplane. I was 6 years old, probably. 6, 7 years old. Visiting my grandparents that had moved down. And we went to Disney World and we went to SeaWorld. I think I didn't get on a plane again for another 10, 12 years after that. But anyway, I remember at SeaWorld, I was really into, superheroes. They had this superhero water ski show at SeaWorld way back when. And I remember as well going to watch, you go to SeaWorld, you go watch the Shamu show and the dolphins. And I remember back then feeling horrible for those dolphins and whales that were kept in captivity. And it always bothered me. It always bothered me. To this day, I can't say, I said, these are mammals. They have huge brains. Don't tell me that killer whale likes being in that oversized pool. Killer whales will chow down on a great white shark, for crying out loud. Don't tell me that they want to sit there in the pool and do tricks. I don't believe it. Then I thought about it a little bit, and I said, well, maybe some of the whales and dolphins are like human beings, and they like taking orders. They like taking orders. They want to feel safe. But then again, there's going to be the whales out there that'll get me the hell out of here. And I said, Free Willy, Free Markowski. And I realized, I said, you know what I don't like and why I was so angry is because where I live right now, I am giving up my freedom. I am giving up my freedom, and I don't like it. Anyway, I got to move on here. I have to talk about, talk a little bit about ultra low interest rates and some of the things that I'm seeing right now. Joe Biden has part of his tax plan, and this is ugly, people. Again, this is the terrain. We'll deal with it. Okay? Whatever comes down the pike, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. My job is to embrace the suck for you. Biden in his tax plan wants to reduce the deductions that are available for people who put money into qualified plans, 401ks and IRAs. And I'm here to tell you this is by design. If this happens, many small business owners out there that have put together retirement plans, 401ks for their workers are going to say, wait a second, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Because I'm not going to get any benefit from this personally because they're taking away the deductions that I have. I'm just going to do away with this altogether. And if that happens, what we're going to see is we're going to see the government step in, and that makes me nervous. I want to talk a little bit more about this. I've talked about this in the past, and I see what they're up to. Don't go anywhere. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We're going to talk a little bit about the retirement raid that these big government types are planning. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street. You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. It is the one, the only, the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Don't doubt the things that we tell you here on the program. You can, don't worry about it, Markowski. I'll listen to you. Okay, don't. I wish I had a list of. I do, but I can't. I mean, it'd be illegal. I couldn't give it out. The people who haven't listened to us over the past few decades have paid the price. We've called it all. Everybody's losing their shirts from 2000 to 2010. We weren't. Portfolio blown up due to the dot-com collapse. No, we're fine. We handle everything. Don't doubt me. This is what I talk about when it comes to prepare. But right now, I'm being honest with you. I don't know how we're going to handle this next thing. We'll figure it out, though. And I do think it's going to be a process. And what am I getting at here? I'm talking about retirement raid. What the hell's retirement raid, Markowski? Again, take a look at Joe Biden's tax plan and what he plans on doing to 401ks and IRAs. But I don't remember exactly how it goes. There was a saying way back when, why you rob banks or something like that. That's where the money is. You do understand that probably close to anywhere between $26 and $30 trillion in retirement accounts. That's where the money is. That's where the money is. And if you don't think that they know this in Washington, D.C., you're crazy, because they do. Back in, this is 10 years ago. 10 years ago, this lady, and I've ripped her. I can't tell you on countless occasions here on the program. She is a dyed-in-the-wool leftist. Teresa Geralducci. Communist, basically. I don't know if she's still a professor at the new school. I have no idea. But she wanted to do away with 10 years ago, came up with a plan to come up with get rid of 401ks and IRAs and force people to give more money to the government for another Social Security program. She wanted to call it a guaranteed government account. Guaranteed government account. She wanted to mandate by law that everybody had to contribute 2.5% of their income and a 2.5% employer match. Again, this is on top of the existing FICA. And again, what was her? We're going to guarantee you a certain percentage over whatever the interest rates are. So basically, I don't know, you might be getting 3% on your money from now till I don't know. I don't know. This was her idea, and I'm not kidding you when I'm telling you the Treasury Department was looking into it at that point in time. Yeah, this is not fantasy. They were looking into doing this. They weren't going to invest that money into stocks. No. What were they going to do? Buy government bonds. Basically, take the money. Government was going to take the money and lend it to itself. Hey! Oh, what do you mean? Oh, we can't borrow money anymore? Oh, nobody wants to lend us money. Oh, they ran out of ink at the Federal Reserve. That's okay. We'll just force the American people to lend us the money that they have in their retirement accounts. No, guys, this is not conspiracy theory, Alex Jones stuff. If you don't believe me, look it up. Look it up. She wrote a book about it. The Treasury Department was looking into it, for crying out loud. Now you got Joe Biden wanting to, hey, you know what? We're going to, we do this. We do this. And then guess what? Employers will start dropping their 401k plan. And then government will have to save the day. Government will have to save the day. And what they'll do first is they'll offer it up to people that, hey, we'll take care of you. Roll your 401k over to the guaranteed government account. Do you remember when Obama tried that? What was that thing called? Some sort of Obama IRA. That was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Nobody got involved with it. But again, what were your choices? Lend the money to Obama. That's coming, people. This is what they're going to try to pull. Just so you know. Again, don't be one of those people who say, don't make me say, see, I told you so. See, I told you so moments don't work out well when you're dealing with me. Just trust me. Make sure you have people that will be able to deal with this when it comes. I don't know when it's going to come, but they're planning for it, so we prepare for it. Again, we deal with the schemers. We deal with the plotters, the people that are planning against you. We prepare and we deal. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Bringing America financial freedom one listener at a time. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
All right, well, I had this clever phrase that I used years ago. At least I thought it was clever. I'm starting to recognize maybe it wasn't so clever. I said years ago, I said, you think of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., and I said, it's the cathedral of unintended consequences. And I've been thinking more about that today. What if the consequences, I'm just throwing this out there, what if all the consequences that we think are unintended, what if they actually are intended? What if they actually, it's like Obamacare. They knew that Obamacare was unsustainable. They knew that people's health insurance costs were going to go through the roof. It wasn't unintended. It was intended. Biden gets his tax plan through, and he does what he says he's going to do. He's going to blow up people's 401ks. The whole idea. Businesses are not going to have them anymore. They're going to get rid of them. It's not going to make any sense. Doesn't he realize that? Don't say this is unintended. Again, it's intended. It's intended. Like many of the things that we're seeing happen around the country in regards to the shutdowns with COVID. Oh, unintended consequences of... No, maybe it's just intended. Some of the fallout from this past week, another place that I used to frequent. I lived in Manhattan for 10 years. And I would go to get my hair cut. I used to get a haircut like once a month, down to the East Village to the Astor Place Barbershop. This place was so cool. Oh, man. You know, the funny thing was, I was thinking about this probably about 6 months ago. I said, I haven't had my hair cut. I want to go into the city. It's before COVID, so it's longer than 6 months ago, and get my hair cut there again. You walk in the place, and there's like a big sign in the front. We speak Italian. We speak German. We speak Russian. We speak Greek. They had, just tons of Tons of barbers in there and all sorts of famous people. There are pictures on the wall who had their hair cut there. 3 generations. The place open like 75 years. 3 generations own that place. Not anymore. Shutting down. Business is down by 90%. Again, it's a real cool place, and it's kind of, you go in, but it's, short and narrow hallways. Government probably said, hey, you can only have X amount of barbers in here, so, can't do anything. Most of these barbers are probably trying to work out of their homes and do a myriad of things just to put food on the table. This is where we're at. So we're at, well, when's it going to end? Huh? When's it going to end? Oh, when COVID goes away. What if COVID doesn't go away? Huh? What if it doesn't go away? Just saying. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. A lot more we've got to go through on the program. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. Taking Wall Street's liars, crooks, and cheats out behind the woodshed. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.
All righty. Welcome back, everybody, to the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Again, to all of our new listeners, I can tell I've got a lot of new listeners, whether it be the radio show and the podcast. When the markets go crazy and it gets really volatile, I get all sorts of people freaking out. I get the freak out emails. And I say, oh, you haven't been listening to the program for very long, have you? That's why you're freaking out. You're not prepared. You're not prepared. Might I suggest you do some reading, read some of our columns, go back and listen to some of our older shows. And how about this? How about you sign up for a personal CFO program? Then you wouldn't be freaking out. Wouldn't be freaking out. Again, we deal with the terrain as it's presented to us. I don't try to guess what the terrain might be, because that's an exercise in futility. Doesn't make any sense. I'm well aware that more than likely things are going to be volatile moving forward. Okay. So we deal with it. You understand that every single one of these situations, when things get dire, they're always presented as end-of-the-world scenarios, portfolio blowing up scenarios. Again, I said at the beginning of the program, never bet on the end of the world. It's only going to happen once. Will you go through periods of time where the markets as a whole will underperform and you deal? Yeah, you deal. It's okay. You take advantage. You dollar cost average in high quality things. But you don't guess. You get these people, I'm going all cash. Yeah, again, CNBC and some of the shows that they have and the people that they have on, it's dangerous. They dispense god awful advice for individual investors out there. God awful advice. You had all these traders and these fast money guys out there. How is it with all the trades that you make and all that you do over the course of the year, how is it that I'm able to outperform you? And I barely look at a damn, screen. They used to call it Quotrons. It was about the Quotron. I'm going back to the old days. Big monitor on my desk with all the stock quotes on it. I barely look. I can't even tell you at 4 o'clock what the markets do on any given day. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I had to talk about this too. I talking about taxes and Biden's tax plan earlier on in the program. The the nonsensical idea that taxing people that make more than $400,000 a year is going to actually make a dent into all the money that's being spent. This past week, I saw this at Elon Musk's stock-based pay plan. Again, Joe Biden raising tax on people make more than $400,000 a year. Elon Musk is a multi-billionaire. Just saying, do you think Joe Biden's tax plan is going to touch him? No. Elon Musk doesn't get a salary. He doesn't get a salary. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Why would you take a salary? Why would you take a salary if you can just get paid in stock? You see, when you get paid in stock, and he just got another tranche, if he makes his various different stock performance, it's how his thing says, stock performance compensation, which is basically, I don't like that. I'd rather have it more on earnings-based and growth compensation. But no, it's how it's structured. So it's basically he's there to manage his stock price to some degree. He can go up to he can make upwards of $50 billion. So he got his latest award. $3 billion. Yeah. Stock was at the right price at a certain period of time. They issued him $3 billion worth of stock for $500 million. Pretty good deal, right? Who wouldn't take that deal? Who would not take that deal? I will give you $3 billion worth of stock. You just have to pay $500 million for it. Now, many people out there will say to themselves, well, I don't have $500 million. How would I get it? Really? You go to any big bank out there and say, give me $500 million, then I'm going to have $3 billion in stock. I'll pay you back with interest, and we're good to go. And again, the bank, you know what the bank's going to do? They're going to be like, no. We'll gladly lend you. We'll gladly lend you. Not only will we lend you $500 million, we'll do you much better than that. We'll lend you $1.5 billion. How about 50%? So you're living off that loan. You're living off the loan that they give you. And again, the interest on that loan is a deduction. This is how these people get paid. They're not getting paid normally. So if you think that, our bird's going after those evil rich people out there. Listen, one of the things we have to reform is how people get paid. I've been yelling and screaming about this for a long period of time. I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer in stock-based compensation. I am for the average worker. Not the executives, not the people that said, no. Pay them what they're worth. If Elon Musk is worth $3 billion, pay the man his money. Teddy KGB and Rounders. Pay the man his money. If he's worth $3 billion, pay him $3 billion. Pay $3 billion and let him pay taxes on it. If he wants to buy Tesla stock, he can take his $3 billion and he can buy Tesla stock. Does that sound reasonable to everybody? Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Get a newsletter, consultations with our certified financial planners, all sorts of great stuff. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We'll be back.